Hello again, this is going to be an audio commentary on a 2 versus 2 game featuring me and Jake under the accounts Go Fast and Soccer Girl 18, respectively. Jake is Soccer Girl 18, goes with his trollish trends. So it's going to be an Orc-Human mirror match, actually, though our strategies are going to be quite different. Me and Jake do not like to go the typical cookie cutter builds, usually. And this game is no different. We're gonna do a strategy we like to use that's kind of unorthodox, though it's not too gimmicky. It's kind of along the same lines of Undead Elf, Death Knight, Priestess of the Moon. It's an Aura Mass strategy with the Paladin and a Torn Chieftain. So our opponents are TouchMyWeinis and Sonorous. I'm gonna go ahead and get this game started and sort of explain what we're going to be focusing on. The main idea of this strategy, for one thing, is to creep up to decent hero levels, which is not really exclusive to this strategy. Most strategies involve shooting for a high hero level, but this strategy is most effective when we fight together. It's going to be to our advantage most times to get together and force standing battles. It's not really a hit and run strategy for most of the game. We're not going to have any sort of way to lock their units or heroes down or slow them down. Really, Jake does get stomped, but again, he's only going to have a few shots at getting that, and it's really hard to get surrounded with grunts, especially against Blade Master and Archmage and such. So they gave it away. The opponents are going to be doing this standard sort of strategies for their respective races: Blade Master grunts, Archmage footies, militia creep on this map. Yeah, so this is going to be sort of a good showcase of this strategy against Cookie Cutter, even though yeah, so this is, you see me doing a Rifleman build. Generally, I mass Rifleman to 50 food, and then add other units maybe as necessary to counter. Jake usually masses Grunts, and adds either Spirit Walkers, Raiders, or what have you as needed also. So one of the main problems of this strategy, or weaknesses, is against certain races, it's easy to harass a Paladin rifle build while they're creeping. Same for TC grunts. For example, if they were Elf Orc and doing a standard Demon Hunter Blade Master strategy, again, they could jump either of our heroes, and we would have to camp our main or pull off some sort of crazy surround or something. Now I'm going to go ahead and do some militia creeping, since my rifles are a little bit slow, not as quick as the footmen coming out. So I'm going to use 4 militia to creep this camp. Militia do really good DPS, especially against the armor of these turtles. So I get this creep done without getting harassed. Everybody's done scouting. They saw the Torn Chieftain and the Paladin, I believe, so he's going to go ahead and harass my Paladin immediately with a Blade Master, which is going to be annoying. I don't quite have an Arcane Tower up, but if he's going to try to pressure that tower down, that's going to be a little bit risky for him. So he really just puts some damage on my Paladin and then goes off to item creep. I cannot engage him with a Rifleman against Grunts very effectively. It would be a losing battle unless I out-micro him, and he looks fairly decent. So now his ally is already finished with the orange troll Knoll camp, or ogre camp, and now he's doing the shop. He's saving these footmen with red hit points, really good micro, and his ally is keeping me busy, so he feels pretty safe there. Now Jake, knowing this, knowing the Orc is on me, he's gonna feel safe to creep a little bit aggressively with his half hit point Torn Chieftain. He went Endurance Aura first. So, but in this situation, the Orc went ahead and item crept the Ogre and got a Protection Ring, which is not the best item for the Blade Master, but it is going to be decent against my hero unit combination because I don't really have a lot of nuke to damage him. So the only damage I can put on him is going to be physical damage, and the Ring of Protection will help him a little bit with that. But in any event, it's pretty much shaping up a standard game. Jake's trying to creep. I also want to get level 2 as fast as possible because it's really going to help me in battles against the Blade Master. The Paladin tends to be a huge target, especially with tanky grunts and riflemen as the unit combination. And the Paladin is the healer, so the TC is usually not in danger of getting killed. And it's also pretty hard to focus down grunts and riflemen at tier 1 while they're getting healed, so I usually like to go for the Paladin. Now that he gets level 2 and I get Divine Shield, which is generally what I do, sometimes I feel like I can get away with it. Devotion Order can be great. It's going to help everybody, and if I don't need Divine Shield, then it is the better skill. But in most cases, you're going to need Divine Shield. Against good players, they're going to try to focus down the Paladin when they can. As you can see, I'm already at half hit points just from this slight harass that they've already done. So I really can't engage here. I think Ping was trying to draw me up, and so his ally could join in, which is pretty smart. Luckily, I managed to avoid that and run back to my main. Jake is going to need to heal up. And they're going to push me right now. And yeah, so they've got a decent sized army. The level 3 Archmage is kind of a critical thing to have to get the level 2 summons. And here I'm terrible positioning. One of the key things with this strategy is to avoid bad positioning, like you just saw. I didn't avoid it in this case. I ran right into the grunts and footmen and took some damage unnecessarily. I really need to be behind Jake's tanky army, and we need good positioning in most situations, or else the main DPS of our army, the riflemen, are going to get shredded by the melee units, and the grunts are going to be less effective if they're not clearly in melee range. So anyway, we have a battle going down here. It's fairly even. They do manage to pick off my tower and a footman. I mean, not footman. A militia. But Jake gets some good stomps off, and the footmen are not very. The footmen are kind of the weak link of their army right now, and they were by themselves. The human was by himself there. So yeah, so they're gonna have to regroup here. And meanwhile, we're gonna take this moment of sort of initiative, map control, or what have you, and we're going to creep, which is going to help us immensely if we can level these heroes up. So as you see, Jake has given me the Cloak of Shadows, which is useful at nighttime for me, in case I get in some trouble being careless with my Paladin. After I Divine Shield or something, they can start hitting me. Maybe I can hide or something. Shadow Melt. So we're gonna just go ahead and creep again. Now with these units, hero combination, and just the size of our army, if we creep together, pretty much any camp on the map at this point is fair game. We could have run up there. We would have run by maybe run by this ward. We don't want to do that, but we could have run up here and creep this the red camp out pretty easily without feeling risky. So this is a really strong creeping strategy, much like Undead Elf standard play. It's really easy to creep camps once you hit not even a big army. You don't even need a big army with either of these strategies if we're together, because I can heal and he can just tank. And rivals themselves are fairly tanky. So as you can see, they're going to be doing split creeping, which is sort of dangerous in case we're able to jack one of them. And again, it doesn't quite, maybe not go as fast if they're split. But yeah, so another key thing of this strategy, much like a lot of 2 strategies, Undead Elves specifically, is getting scrolls when you can. If you can have scrolls in a battle, armor scroll and healing scroll, and the opponent does not, it's going to be really beneficial. Now, Orange has some Spellbreakers, and Pink has some Spirit Walkers, so Armor Scroll is not going to be generally, if I cast that at the start of the battle, they're probably just going to disenchant or steal it. So, but the Heal Scroll is definitely important, especially when you have a mass of units like we do. So scrolls are pretty important. They're very cost effective if you use them correctly. So now you can see we're pushing. We have Enduranceur level 2. He is going to be pulling up this Kodo Beast, which is going to be giving us 10% more attack damage maybe, which doesn't seem like that much, but it's every little bit helps. So here we got the armor scroll going off. We're going to be focusing on this Kodo Beast, which has a lot of hit points, and I'm going to heal it, so it's not very effective. Pink is alone, which he should not have engaged this battle. He should have waited until Orange did what he was doing, which is just wrecking havoc on my economy right now. So this is really going to pay off later. If his ally wouldn't have engaged, that probably would have been good, though his base would have been subject to our push. So maybe he felt like he needed to. As you can see, they were focusing heavy on the Paladin, which was sort of out of position. But I managed to get the Divine Shield off. I have a healing scroll I used, and a vulnerability potion, and they pretty much are in a dire situation here, having Pink engaged just alone. That was a big mistake. In 2v2 games, in certain situations, maybe you can kind of hit and run two armies, but you definitely don't want to overcommit, because if you get caught with two armies, it doesn't take long to quickly get punished for that. And as you can see, the replay is almost over. Their army is pretty much gone. Actually, it is gone. And so the damage that he did to my economy, while substantial, it was really more of a long-term thing. So whereas their mistake, we punished it immediately without an army to oppose us. Again, we're just gonna roll this base, and that's gonna be the end of the game, because the human is not gonna be able to fight us alone. He just doesn't have the. It's just not a situation where he could pull that off. So as you can see, they're leaving. I did a bunch of Paladin quotes at the end just for good measure, as Jake is not the only one who likes to troll. So over the score, we see that Jake got more unit kills than everybody, slightly more than Orange did. The Orc was sort of the weak point in their army, and he made a big mistake, so that sort of makes sense. His harassment, while useful, later in the game, the Raiders and Spirit Walkers, against a lot of strategies, are very strong. It's kind of the standard thing that people do, pretty much in every scenario. A lot of people just blindly cookie cut, but again, you know, the Spirit Walkers are able to disenchant the armor scroll, and they do extra to grunts. Spirit Link is useful, but overall they're not as strong as in certain other situations, because I have a lot of riflemen with this strategy. Pretty much, that's pretty much all the units that I have at most points in this game, and they can quickly snipe off Spirit Walkers, or at least make them go into ethereal form. And if they do that, then their usefulness is pretty much cut in half. Because if they're not doing magic damage, then they're not doing any damage, and the only thing they're doing is countering casters, which we don't have a lot of in this strategy. Like you saw, it was mostly there were just mostly grunts and rifles, a few other things, but again, it's not a caster heavy strategy, so the Spirit Walkers are going to be of limited use. And again, our units are pretty strong against footmen. Now catching me alone with the grunts and footmen would be strong, but luckily I was able to mostly avoid taking too many losses that way. As you saw in a pitched battle, TC Paladin is a pretty strong combination, especially when leveled up. A lot of people, it's kind of unusual, because a lot of times people, you know, they're going to want to focus down heroes, especially with a Mountain King, Blade Master, Shadow Hunter combination. And Raiders, you know, that's one of the main things Raiders you want to do with them is ensnare heroes to, you know, quickly snipe them down. But in this strategy, that's that's pretty ineffective because my paladin is going to be nearly untouchable as long as I play correctly. I had an invulnerability potion, a healing scroll, and a level 2 divine shield at some point. So, and he's a strength hero, so he's got a lot of hit points. Jake picked up a parrot of health, so Tauren Chieftain is already one of the tankier heroes. So he had about 1,000 at level 4. I think he had about 1,000 hit points. And then I'm going to be healing him usually. So focusing down either one of those heroes is going to be it takes away one of the main strategies that Mountain King, Blade Master, Shadow Hunter, Raider combination. One of their main strengths. It loses effectiveness against this hero combination, and the power of the unit combination that we go fighting together is really going to limit the effectiveness of Raiders, because Raiders do siege damage, which most of these units, grunts and riflemen, they're not gonna take too much damage from the siege of the Raider. And in Snare, if it's a pitched battle, as long as our positioning is decent, Ensnare is not going to be all that effective unless they have mass Ensnare, which that's just going to mean mass Raiders. And again, they're not going to want to engage a pitched battle with mass Raiders. What they could do with that is try to harass bases, which maybe would have been more effective than what they tried to do in this game. But at any rate, against the standard combination, this is a fairly strong strategy as long as you play correctly. And certain hero combinations are pretty tough to level these heroes, Paladin, Tauren Chieftain, against. So mainly Elf, Orc, Demon Hunter start popping mana burn off, and Tauren Chieftain and Paladin start to become just like big grunts, which and Demon Hunter, Blade Master are pretty strong just one-on-one against those heroes, just dealing damage and armor type or how much armor they have. So again, they didn't react correctly. They played decent up until the end, where Pink made a very huge mistake. And as you can see, he only got 9 unit kills. His army wasn't really geared to killing units very well at the mid-game point onward. And he engaged us by himself. And yeah, so this strategy, you play it sort of similar to Undead Elf. You just try to creep up, and positioning is very important. You will have to, if the game drags late, there's certain unit combinations and things that need to be countered. Not just grunts and riflemen, but anyway, I hope this was an interesting replay, and you learned a little bit, and you maybe learned a strategy that you can try sometime. It's unorthodox.